danger is stealing in as relapse hums above the din. It's hard to know if this will be the day when you give in. Give in.
Hello and welcome to episode 359 of the Thinking Poker Podcast. From Owings Mills, Maryland, I'm Andrew Brokus. I will be joined very shortly by my guest. He gave me permission to call him Gil because I was struggling to pronounce his Portuguese name, and I'm probably still going to butcher his last name, Brasileiro, who is a Brazilian poker pro and also an instructor with a Brazilian poker team called Card Room International. Actually, as the title suggests, no longer only Brazilian. We'll talk a little bit more a lot more in the interview about what exactly that means. But essentially, he is like managing and coaching and staking a lot of, or at least involved in the staking of a lot of people playing a variety of different games and stakes. So several of the things that we talk about in the interview that I think are quite interesting for anybody, although it's interesting to get his perspective on these things, is how to get better at poker. How do you help people get better at poker? One of the perks of a team like this is they have access to a lot of software, and they can they've put some thought into how do you distribute that software around the team, or sort of ensure that the insights from the software trickle to the appropriate places where you want them to be, depending on where people are in their poker careers and things, like who should be working with what software and how. Just staying on top of the software scene in poker these days is a task, frankly, that's beyond me. Like, I'm not fully aware of what's out there. I've got the stuff that I like, but I know there's some new things that I'm not fully on top of. Talk a lot about mental game things and just the different things that people are dealing with at different stakes as they're moving up. I just thought it was a really interesting perspective to get. Partly we've never had a Brazilian on the show before, for as big as poker is in Brazil. I think that's a nice perspective to get. But even more so than that, I think this perspective of a person who's in many ways like a manager of other poker players, and we've had a few people who fit that description, I guess, on the show before, but I always think it's an interesting perspective to people who have thought about how to improve not just themselves, but a lot of other people who are at various stages in the game and have various goals in the game. And on top of that, he's just a interesting, funny, fun to talk to person. So I think you'll enjoy this conversation with Gil Brasileiro. There is a lot of strategy in, or a lot of kind of like strategy adjacent talk in the episode. I'm not going to do a full strategy segment here. You can, of course, hear daily strategy segments from the Thinking Poker team, which is myself, Nate Mavis, and WSOP Gold Bracelet winner, Carlos Welch. You can hear from the three of us daily if you support the show on patreon.com/thinkingpokerdaily. For as little as $5 a month, you can get access to loads and loads of strategy segments from us. So that's the best place if you want the podcast strategy. You want more and more of that juicy podcast strategy format. Of course, there's also a lot of strategy at www.nitcast.com, nitcast.com. That's where you can find a lot of our premium podcasts, the Weekend Warriors for both cash game and tournament players, Carlos and my exploiting small stakes tournaments, instructional videos, books from various of us, all that kind of good stuff at nitcast.com. Thank you for listening, and please enjoy this interview with Gil Brasileiro. Thanks, Gil, for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you guys for offering me the time as well.
It's we've been doing this show. I'm saying we. I have a co-host who's not able to join us today, but sometimes there's a we. We've been doing this show for I think 9 years now, and you're actually the first Brazilian we've had on the show, which I think is our mistake, because I know poker has been a big deal in Brazil for a long time. Did you grow up playing poker, or when did you get exposed to it?
No, yeah, actually around university, like in the beginning, I started to get, Poker Stars and those like free rolls that you get a spot in the next one that you can make like actually real money. Mm-hmm. So I was playing like a very, very recreational, I would say. And after a while, I find out some sitting goals and changed to like full tilt at the time and play like the 45 men on full tilt, watching some. Before, back then, Sharkscope used to sell classes as well. You buy some tokens and you can exchange in. So I watched like a lot of ping donks stuff back in the days to grind the 45 men on full tilt.
And you had not really been exposed to poker prior to that? Like you didn't like grow up playing with your family or anything?
No, yeah. In Brazil, it's kind of, there's like a shady background, like people lost farm or people lost a lot of money. They always talk about the guys that lost something, but yeah, it's kind of not like supernatural for us. Even like bets, I would say it's kind of new in Brazil, like all the sports betting and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's something that you're not used to, like back in the days. I think it was like no one knew much about poker. There was no poker houses unless it was like a hiding place or a house where people usually like getting there to play some cash. Tournaments, I think, was like out of question as well. Like none of that. But yeah, after university, I went to US actually, and then I faced it. I wasn't playing; I was already like working. But I was there when Black Friday happened, and then I stayed for around like 5 years in US, and then I decided to come back in 2015. I started applying a lot of stables back in US, like late 2014, and I got some interviews. I applied like for BBC, Poker, that was the big international ones that I knew of by that time. And then one Brazilian stable gave me the opportunity, so I made a plan and came back to Brazil to play poker. I always liked it, and on sitting goals I did quite well. My last year of university, I made like I worked at a HSBC, the bank, and I did like 6 months payment. So I was like, man, I will just finish my university conclusion work. I don't know how you call it, but yeah, there's the task that you have to do to graduate, and I will focus on that and then play poker, and then I will. My plan was already to go to US. I always wanted like to get the feeling, to know the culture. Everyone is like passionate about the dreaming, the American dream, So yeah, that's why back in 2015 that I actually like became a poker pro and just focused on that.
Did you play any live poker at all when you were in the US? Like, did you ever go to the card rooms or anything?
As soon as you get there, you see so much stuff going on that is impossible for you not to sit at a table and play some live cashes and even some MTTs. But yeah, I played a little bit before like I find a job. I played an area and played on Venetian. There was like big room there. I think Venetian is the biggest one, and. and yeah, by the I think it was 2013, I broke my collarbone snowboarding on Big Bear, the mountain in California, and I stayed out of like the work for 2 months. So I went back to it, and I started playing some area daily MTTs, the 125 if I'm not mistaken, and I did good on some of those. So I started taking, after I came back from the injury, I started taking some days off and stuff like that, and adding a little bit more of poker, in my routine. I think it was even back in 2000, I'm not sure, but I signed for Tournament Poker Edge, the website, the training website. Back there, I think it was Deuce Cracks, so something like that.
Deuce is Cracked is the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, Deuce is Cracked. And then I'm not sure if there was the Run It Once was already up, but yeah, I learned. I think you were on the ones that did a lot of videos for Tournament Poker Edge, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I remember I recorded like all the videos as well to watch it on my PC and to rewatch it, or to watch it a little bigger speed sometimes. But yeah, I watch a lot of your content back in the days, And yeah, I think in Vegas was nice, but like I was working very, very hard. So the time that I had a little bit time off, it was like more, not much poker thinking. It wasn't on the. We barely go to the strip when we live in there. Actually, like it's not the place you wanna get traffic.
Yeah. When you talked about doing interviews for the various staking stables, the BBZ and other ones, what do those interviews look like? Like, what is the process for? What are they looking for?
So I think there's two kinds now. Looking back, like BBZ and Poker, they didn't actually like go through the process with me because I didn't have sample, on online poker. Mm-hmm. My sample was back in 2010, sitting goals and stuff like that, because I couldn't play in US. So they didn't like give me the interview. They just like didn't accept the application. But the Brazilian ones, they kind of do like a very beginner approach, like they just looking for people who has like the time to learn, and they didn't care much if you have a lot of experience or not. They do like a very small deal for the player. Back in the days, like my first deal was like 25% of my equity being staked by the Brazilian, and there was like steps for me to be growing my percentage deal. So like every $4 or $3K, like I would be going up like 2.5%. So yeah, they did like 3 interviews, just making sure like I was the right fit about like making the volume. Don't need like much money to leave from poker, because like it was my first year, and so that was like the kind of mandatory requirements, I would say.
And you're working now for you're on the other side of the operation now, right? Like you're running a staking house.
Yeah. We kind of mixing the approach. We want, of course, like consolidated regs, like people that already have. But like we're very new to the marketing and to the international marketing. I'm just partner up with the card room guys. They have like a huge Brazilian stable. Then they do like all kinds of ABI levels, I would say. Like they have people from micro stakes grinding sitting goals, 50 cents, $1 from two of the divisions, I would say, of the team. Like there's like 20 guys in each of them, like playing like 500s and even 1,000 buyings, MTTs. But yeah, they have like a lot on the Brazilian market, but we are not like known out of this market. We're trying to reach more of the international public. But we know like Russians, for example, like they have like their own stables. Every country like does that, I think, and it's hard to getting there. It's hard for like we don't see much Brazilians like in international stables. If you see Brazilian in poker, BBZ, for example, they are like on the Brazilian division most of the time. Few of them are like on the international division. And after the Brazilian team, I have a very good experience working with like Pads, Elmerix, and European, the big guys. Mm-hmm. And I spent like 4 years with them. And like they just something else, the way they approach life and poker and how they guided us by example, showing like that's no easy way, there's no easy path, and you get what you do as well, what you contribute with the community and everyone helping each other, and that changed my perspective a lot from what I came before on the Brazilian stable, and I found that it was a good opportunity to help some people and develop on them like the good poker skills and mindset as well. That is something that is very important, I would say, for poker players.
What does this look like? I mean, aside from obviously from putting up the money, what exactly is a stable providing? I mean, do you have like structured coaching that you do over Zoom or something? Or you have like a Discord? What does that look like?
Yeah, we have a community on Discord where we have like all the chats that the guy needs. If he needs help with softwares, we can put softwares on Makeup, and even on the beginning we gave some softwares like HRC. The plan is to have like a server as well where the guys will have like POS over, hand to node, simple pre-flop and whatnot. So the structure is the part of helping, like you look at players today like playing on their own, and like you ask what is your schedule today, like what you're gonna play, what's your buy-in, how much you're gonna spend, and like I think most of them like are not like very organized like overall. Most players wants to sit down, click register, and then that's it. Like what's your ROI, like what's the tournaments you make more money, what's the websites are taking more hake back to you, and then what's the ones that take too much rake from like the same tournament, so like all this back the scenes stuff we help out. So we have like tiers, and then the guy get in on like and tier 9, tier 8 and playing like $10, $16, and then can go up like to tier 1 and play like the higher ones. But yeah, we try to help like everything since they start, and how to do like their schedules, how they plan the day and everything around it, and at the same time we give like two coaches a week. And then sometimes I do a stream, but lately I've been in some other projects as well that I didn't have much time to play. Back in 2015, I played like 20,000 MTTs on PokerStars, and this year I probably has less than 1,000. So wow. I'm not being able to put like the volume I would like. So, but yeah, we help like all the way, I would say.
It's interesting you were emphasizing people needing help with setting a schedule or deciding what sites to play on. I mean, not that people don't need help with that. I would have thought you would emphasize, or that like kind of the biggest help would be how to use the software, right? I mean, there's so much powerful software out there now. There's a PO Simple, HRC, and none of them I think are all that intuitive to use. I think even more so than the cost of buying the programs, the real cost is the time that goes into like learning how to use them and actually using them well. I would think that's where a lot of the value of kind of like being on a team would come from, is getting support on both benefiting from work other people are doing with that software, and also just sort of learning how to use it well yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. I would say, like, for the player to get to learn and to use those tools. But I have to tell you, it's hard to find those that wants to focus a lot on that. Most of them, they want like everything really already, like I don't know the word, but like in already little pieces for them to get it in an easy way, and like it's hard to get people to go in the softwares and everything. Like I was saying, back in the Brazilian stable, everything was coming from this table. Nothing was going back. There's not a lot of players like giving any information and like sharing stuff, because they was like not incentivized as well to do, like, and also like the stable didn't go like all the way on the softwares and stuff like that. They had their own way of like looking at population analysis of like stats, because they had like a lot of horses, and so they could have a good sample on population. But yeah, I think the software part is like, if it was about it, like I don't it's not like everything that the player will need. Like, I don't think the team is like, you can have friends and you can see tutorials, like you don't need to like give up like 50% of your equity to just because of the software. But yeah, I think like in my my daily routine, the softwares are very, very much included, like all the time. Like even now, I didn't even start my day yet. I didn't, like, I already have like a couple of those opens here before we start the talk. So yeah, it's like the routine should be there, but like it's hard to get to the level as well that the players spend a lot of time on it, and they find like resistance on the table. I think they most go look for more when like they're on a downswing or things are not working out well. I think the bankroll is one of the main stuff. Like I would say that people would join, because it's hard to face some swings, and also who doesn't want to play a little bit over what their limits, like
right.
Who doesn't look at the prize pays and instead of like the low variance stuff with less players. Every horse that, not every horse, but like all the ones that I'm in contact with, like they only, like, if you see like a $2 tournament with like 3,000 people paying like $2K up top, and then a $7 tournament, $750 whatever, like with 300, that the guy just needs like 1/3 of the ROI to make the same amount of dollars. Like they always gonna pick like the big fields with the big price up top, because yeah, it's just, I don't know, in their mind, like the price and stuff like that. So
that's why they're playing MTTs and not cash, right? They want the big score.
Yeah, true. But yeah, there's like some naive way of seeing it and thinking like you're gonna make money as much, like if you like making those like a little bit bad choices, let's put it this way, because variance on MTT is huge when you're playing on your own. Like you never want to have like an average field of 2,000 people. For you to beat that variance, like it's gonna take time, and then you need to like go lower buyings, and then if you make like 100 ROI in a 250 and like 33% whatever in a 750, like you're making like the same amount of money. But yeah, long term and math and investments, I think like people really want to make the money, but they always like, how many hours did they spend learning how to invest money? Like they're so worried about making money. They don't even know how to use when they get it, and then things get weird after all. Like there's like I would say, mindset in poker is just, yeah. I think the stable can help everywhere, and like on those downswings, on reviewing your hands, reviewing your stats, and giving like the material a little bit more digested for you. I run way more scenes than everyone that I have now, at least on my end of the stable there. I would say, because most of the guys playing $10, $5, and don't feel yet like they need to be learning much of theory. Poker is like a different career, I would say. It's not like everything else. We go to university first, we learn the basics, and then we grow up, and then we go internship or whatever to learn how to do in practice, and then we start work and hoping for a good job and promotions and stuff. Poker, you have the chance to start and quit your job in 2 weeks if you make like a decent money, and then you're gonna find out you need to improve so many things that's not that easy as it looks like.
This is probably getting a little bit less true, but I've always said that I think what foils most professional people who try to make it as a professional and don't end up doing it. I think historically the problem has not been that they weren't good enough at poker. It was that they weren't good enough at what you're saying, kind of the money management and the mental game side of things, where they can't handle downswings or they can't handle upswings, right? They have one good month and then they blow a bunch of money at buy a car at the strip club or that kind of thing.
Change the lifestyle very quickly. Don't see they see as an income that is going to constantly come every month or whatever they put in their head. That's a big one. I started like with 20 guys on the Brazilian stable, and then only like 6 of them continued to play like after the first year, I would say, and then today there must be like 3 guys, 4 guys. So it's getting harder every day. Like the amount of knowledge that is free out there, like the amount of softwares, websites, like we're talking, it's interesting to join a stable to learn how to do the solving stuff and mess with all the tools, but like you have websites today that they have the game solved, I would say, with all the trees already up there in the cloud, and you can navigate it without like inputting any sizes or any ranges or stuff like that. Everything, it comes ready to you. I would say, at least in cash game, I see they're already out there. So in MTTs is just about time, I think, to show up as well.
So how important do you think it is then that people actually do any of their own solver work or theory work? I mean, if you can, like, does it not work if you just sort of do the work and digest it and then feed it and say, like, here are the important takeaways, now go play?
Yeah.
Like, at what point do people need to do it for themselves?
I mean, it's if you're very patient to wait for your time or to wait your hands or something like that to be answered, or like if you trust everyone's analysis and range that they gave, and as well, like it's like not about like what you have to do with a specifically holdings every time, because if it was about that, like then like we're not gonna be learning anything. When we look at the solvers, we try to understand why he's speaking like sometimes unnatural combos for your brain to be doing raises or to be doing calls instead of the ones that you bring are telling you, like the blockers of the second barrel like matters a lot, not blocking some folding part of the range of the villain. So looking at the solvers and also like no one is playing exactly like the Solvi. So if I have like everything digested every time, like and trust, like if I don't edit any of the responses, I will be playing against a machine that we never face at the table. So every spot that you run, you actually have to go and you have to do some editing. And nowadays, like Hand to Note is doing like a sick job of analyzing data. So I have like some population stats that I can get and say like, okay, solver is not even using small c-bet sizing on this board. And I look at population and they are only using small size on this board. So I mean, everyone that is looking at that sim and saying, oh, okay, like I have one in my front now, like 10-6-5 small blind against button, 50 big blinds deep. There's like 61% of checking back, and then you look at population. population has like 74% of c-betting positions. So like going to this board specifically, like we're gonna find a lot of 1/3 where solver only likes to use like half pot plus. So yeah, the solvers are very good and to give you like insights about like everything, but like you have to look at in a more I don't know the word, but like bigger picture, like not just, okay, I have queen 10 and the board is queen 10 6 5, I have to check half of the time, and then half of the time I have to bet 2/3. But then, what is the response against that in solver and then in real world? Is there any leads from the small blind in real world? Is there any leads on solvers? And everything gets a little bit bigger. Like most things that we're gonna learn is like, okay, queen 9 not betting because like making a lot of some dominated hands to fold, we can bluff out in later street, while like queen 4 that cleans the queen out is good to bet big. So we're already making like some queen 8 indifferent from auto position, stuff like that. Is like the best takeaways of most of the spots, understanding like what are you doing, why are you doing, what are you targeting, and then as well comparing responses to check like if populations are actually like responding that way. If not, we also like should adjust and then see the new responses.
How do you decide where to focus your efforts when you're doing that kind of solver work? Obviously, like as you said, the goal isn't just to figure out how you should play, one particular hand or one particular spot. How do you organize that? I mean, do you kind of have a sense of like, okay, we're going to be working on like continuation betting flops button versus big blind this week, or how do you
for me, I try to simplify a lot as well, like not having multiple sizes and stuff like that. So I run scripts in the positions and find out like where's the spots we should have in more checks, and then I go deep on them and find out like, do I really have to do that? Like, is that how population responds? But like to decide it, I like to go with the things that happens more often. Like I'm not gonna be studying any 4-bets post flop. I'm not gonna I just measure like let's say I play a session and I save like 10 hands, and then I see there's like couple of 3-bet spots that I'm in doubt about strategy, or I have like another ones that are against small blind that doesn't happen like as often as against big blind. So I try to divide them like for the ones that are most happening to the ones that least happens, to be studying. But normally we start comparing positions. So when we're talking about small big blind against in position, so we go from the button, we give a little tighter range and go from hijack, cut off, and then give the tightest one UTG, and then go finding out like what is changing. Like the bluff cards that we have in button is so many options. When we go to UTG, we find some very unnatural bluffs that solver really likes to bet some third pair sometimes, and then he's putting pressure and other kinds of hands with different size. So it's like it's very big. Like I don't know to say like how I would choose to separate and to study, but normally we go like with the flow, like we're saying, a lot of spots against big blind, and then some of the market hands we try to get deep. If we want to understand some 3-bet pots, we run a script with like 180 boards and start to just looking at numbers first, find out spots that we might just be playing different, and then see like what is good or not on those, and then doing like a summary like with all the boards, with all the sizings. Like if I could show my screen, you would see like a little bit of it. Like I go to all the boards in specific position with like a sheet with saying I should check this amount, bet small, I don't know, another percent, and then the back bet big, another percentage, and then like all them together. And then if there's something that I is already looks to me like different that I would be doing, that's the boards I start to focus on. And then also like if population is played totally different, I already normally to stud population I makes over just auto betting position, like force auto position to check right, and then forcing position to bet, and then find out like where are the big exploits I could be doing. But yeah, it's so many options to study, so many things to see. Stacks are different every way you play. You have Monker giving you all the ranges, but then all the positions have the same amount of chips. And when you see a table, an MTT table like that happens only on the first hand of the MTT, So yeah, people just get too fixated with the approach, and they want to use like how do you say, in time assistance or stuff like that. But that's not gonna give like them a lot of money unless they are playing like against the robots that they think they are, and also the stacks and also ranges as well. Like everyone you play at the table, like they are playing different ranges. If you don't know how to react against different shoving range, like you're never gonna know like the good EV of calls. If you always give the HRC the you don't edit any ranges and you get only like equilibrium, you're just gonna make a lot of mistakes in game. So you have to go like for tighter range to see how you would play against tighter guys, and also like against the wider ones, and then make good decisions in game based on little bit extra information that you have on your opponents, I would say.
Yeah, I found that's a lot of people's biggest either misunderstanding about solvers or mistake when using solvers is not really understanding what the output is telling you, right? That it's not just this is how you should play the hand, right? That's not what you're not just looking up the answer to how to play the hand. The way I had it described to me once that really has helped me think about it is, you're using it more like a scientist would use a microscope. You're using it to conduct experiments. You're saying, I'm going to look at the situation and then I'm going to change a variable. I'm going to use a different bet size or assume a different range for the opponent, and then I'm going to see how things change. And so, my takeaway isn't I should be betting queen 6 40% of the time. My takeaway is, I should be betting the queen 6 against the tighter players and checking it against the weaker player, the looser players or something like that. But it's more, you're still getting information about how to play against different kinds of opponents or under different sets of assumptions. You're not just trying to memorize an output for a particular situation.
Yeah, exactly.
So I use PO also just because that's kind of what I got started with, and I invested a lot of time in figuring out how to use it. I kind of get the sense now that between like Simple and with GTOX, like there's probably other ones I haven't even heard of that are out there. Is PO still really like the best option, or it seems like the software is just like exploding for this right now. I can't even really keep up with it.
Yeah, they just did an upgrade right a couple months ago. They released it PO Solver 2.0, and they did a lot of changes on the engine, so everything is faster now. Like the frequency of the hands are mostly getting like to they are more like full frequency. Like they mix still a lot, but different than the last one. Like it's more accurate, I would say, all the EVs and the frequencies. And they also give the options to add jobs, so like you can set up a lot of trees and later on put it to run different stacks, different boards, different everything. Like, so they also input like a GTO trainer on it. I'm not the best person to say because I always messed with PO, and that's like I had like simple post flop, but I think the layout is a little bit different, and PO you have like all the turns already run and stuff like that, and Simple you have to go and run the turn, and I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right because I didn't mess a lot of it, but back in the days I tried Card Runners EV was a pain to set up 1-3, man, and I see like Romeo Pro doing like a coach on it. It was like, man, this is so hard to do. And then there's some other ones, but I to be honest, I only mess with Pew, and I think there's Poker is Noe for some pre-flop and some post-flop, maybe even Monker does some really deep analysis and everything, but I mess only with Pew, and I think it's a very good tool if you use it well.
I think this really seems to be where the direction that the software is going is making the information, making the outputs more digestible, not necessarily making, I mean, the solvers are already very powerful, and I'm sure they are getting more powerful, but I think the biggest value add, and I guess there's also some software sites that are cropping up that are kind of an interface between people and solvers, like you said, like the trainers and those kinds of things that help you to do practical and useful things with the software, make it a little bit more intuitive how to extract useful information from it.
Yeah, one of the good tools of Pew that I think a lot of people that have Pew don't use. Have you seen the software, the Simple Post Flop?
Yes.
Yes, so the Simple Post Flop, right on next to the range, there's an options for you to select or not select, like 2 pairs, over pairs, top pairs, like all the combos, right? And in Pew, it goes inside of Range Explorer, right? On the right there, very right, and like Range Explorer. And that's one of the things that I miss in Pew, right next to the ranges there, because like when I see people working on Simple Post Flop, like they can easily find out, so let's look our 2 pair or second pairs, how you reacting, which ones we are playing as a check call, which one are we flash playing, or when we're barreling, like what is our air or everything. Like you can select them and just see those parts of the range and understanding like what is the part of the range that one must bluff, and where is my value cut, like top pairs, and then percentage of betting with the top pairs or barreling or whatever. So is a very nice tool that you can check like the where the ranges interact, and you can see like out of positions line and in positions line, and what percent of the range they get really close, or if there's boards that are in positions just killing everywhere on the equity, and like you can start flop betting and even like using big sizes and stuff like that. So I think I see a lot of guys that has Pew and don't mess like with it as much as they could as well, and focus a lot on the answer of the holdings.
Yeah. I like the graphs that show how the EV is distributed across a range, to get that sense of, is this sort of like a smooth distribution where like all of your hands have some amount of EV, or all of an opponent's hands have some amount of EV, or is it more like there's certain hands that have all the EV and then like a more polarized kind of range? But I think that's very useful. I just think that's like that kind of visualization I think is very helpful. There's so much data, and I think tools to help visualize that data are very helpful.
Yeah. Hotness stuff is also cool, like looking how would you play in every different turns and stuff. But a very complete tool, I would say.
So, we were kind of talking about that this is maybe not even the most important thing for people, right? That like what's really tripping up a lot of people is our mental game things more so than not being good enough at cards. I'm sure, especially in like smaller stakes games. How do you work with people on that?
Dude, it's kind of one of the things that I thought, like when you're playing like low stake, you're not gonna get into your head too much. But I see players like that I've been coaching now, that they really have trouble, like tournaments, very very small tournaments, but they get the beats and they lose, they lose their minds, like in so many ways, and like such a small thing for me that with like my experience and a lot of downswings on the way as well, I find it like I I try to put myself on their shoes, and try to show them like how is it important that he's losing it now when playing small, when playing with like invested money that is helping. Nothing is coming out of his pocket at this moment, and if it wasn't about that, like, poker would not be alive, if there was no people winning without knowing anything about the game. What happens, like, that's the variance. Like, we just should be thankful, like, for the variance. I try to put it, but it's hard when you're looking, you're getting the beats and nothing is working out. Is hard. I read a couple of books from Jared, and I really like them. I recommend to my players to read them as well. Like, I forgot the name. Yeah, Mental 1 and Mental Game of Poker 2. And yeah, those really help. But yeah, I was trying to find here a shot with one of the players that is more close to me and starts to complain at some hands as well, at the point that I said, man, just please stop. I see this every day, every time, in my hands, and then I have to see yours as well. And like, dude, I know what you're feeling. We've all been there. It's just gonna keep happening. If you don't learn how to respect it and how to pass through it, it's just your day to day. If it's gonna be happening with everyone every day, like our brain is just so selective that we remember a lot of the ones that we dropped from the tournament, or we got really short stacked because of a bad beat. But to get there, we probably made like 2 guys don't sleep that night, or something like that. It's just made to win a tournament. How many people are just hating on us, with the amount of bet that we give, so yeah, sometimes it's hard, but yeah, we putting in the seed and hope they will learn with getting stronger, with the scars.
Oh yeah, this is something that I struggle with some, because I do like one-on-one coaching with people, and I know that like part of what people want is to be able to vent to me. Like that is, I think, part of what they're like paying for is to have someone who will listen to their to their bad luck. But at the same time, I do think at some point I'm not really doing them a service, where it's like, I think you shouldn't be so, like, I understand that this is frustrating, but I don't think you're really doing yourself any favors by getting hung up on it, right? I mean, because on the one hand, it's like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to get frustrated when such and such happens, but like, I think you can get less frustrated by that over time. And I think one of the ways you do it is by sort of not indulging it, or not just like accepting it as, oh, of course I'm just going to lose my mind when I get bad beat,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also like when you're saying, I thought about it, but it's like they want to show that they're doing the right thing, but things are not happening for them for some reason sometimes.
I would imagine that's especially tricky for the people who are in a stable where there is that prospect of like, they don't want to lose their backing, they want to be able to move up. So I guess they do have some incentive to show you like, oh, even though I'm not winning money right now, don't give up on me. Here's like, I'm still a good player. Look, here's why I'm losing.
Yes. And yeah, it's a completely different situation on our side. I would say, like, the way I started was like, hey, here's some very good like tips, and you go there and do it, and do as much as you can. Like, go volume. Your ROI is whatever 5%. You don't make like good money, but when I have like 20, 30, 50, 100 horses making 5%, I'm just getting good. But for me, like, I tell them, dude, like, I say, man, you guys are playing low here. Like some guys getting new there and they want to play higher, and it's like, dude, there's there's 20 plus videos for you to watch and for you to get better at poker before you get in touch with the tables again. Of course, I don't want you to do that and just forget about the table and go learn and go and go all in on the videos and stuff like that, because you also gonna need time to digest that and to understand and to get better, and practicing it is good for you, But I'm on the completely off route, of tables and stuff like that, and my partners just don't talk more about it with me, because like I don't accept. Like, I want people to also like have their life, enjoy life. Like, we only have one. Like, we should do what we like, but we have to do in an organized and smart way. I tell the guys, man, you're doing like you're making 40% of your money, and you're playing like $7.55 tournaments. And you want to make money. I'm already telling you, like, you're not gonna be making money here. Like, if you joining to make money as soon as you joined with the poker skills that you have. Like, you should be playing on your own, like if you have the bankroll to play a $7, $5, $10 tournaments, you should be playing on your own. For me, like, the joining this table, the constructing this community is about like growing everywhere, like not only poker, and like not looking at the money, and especially giving it back. For me, we do steps like, if you make 5K, you can go up like 5%, and then next 5% would be like 10K or whatever. But like, a couple of players already told them, like, every 3 months we're gonna see who is dedicating, who is giving more to the community, and those guys are already like going up on the percentage, because we need that. We need like everyone working, to everyone participating. Like, people complain about giving up percentages, but like, they don't even like get the most of the money that they are paying. Like, there's players that don't share hands, don't share doubts, and then you go do a one-on-one with them. There's a lot of things that could save them a bunch of chips, like on the long run. Like, just simple stuff as like opening 2.5 in a 20 BBs average table. Like, if you get jammed, if you're doing that a lot with hands that we can call, like, you get jammed 100 times, you're losing like 50 big blinds. So on the one hand, it looks like little, but like, there's a bunch of stuff that the guys can be doing and losing like a lot of chips on the long run. And if you guys don't share with us, like, it's gonna take more and more time for us to be helping you, So yeah, I lost a little track of how we started there, but
that's okay. You caught my interest on something there. So you're saying even within the stable, people are reluctant to share things for fear of like giving away, sort of like helping their competitors. Is that what you're saying?
How many times I have to ask you? You'd be impressed, and like they some of the guys, they don't even know like what the opportunity they are having, like what is up, like, in stakes, and how the long term in poker. Like, I started even talking about people like, man, we're starting a team with a very good background in Brazilian stable, and we're gonna be big. Opportunities will come for you to not be like having to work at the tables 24/7 like most of the grinders do. Like, I took a long time to just realize I didn't put enough effort on my coaching career, let's put it this way, as well, on my and then that's something that now is taking me way longer than it should, because I didn't like water that seed as much as I should on the way, a little bit by year. So I just focused too much on myself and helping the community that I was in, but I also like, I didn't think about becoming a coach on the community that I was in, as happening to other guys that are very like good and knowing poker nowadays. Let's put like Reddit One's coaches, Poker International One's coaches, like a lot of guys coming from the community that I came are doing great on this area, because like they they worked a little bit more than I did on this, and I'm already telling these guys, like, if you're joining poker now, if you're starting it now, and you're only looking at like registering, that's where is the money coming? Like you're already like not starting on the best way, I would think, like learning before the playing it would be like way better, and also like thinking that poker as a career with like is a bigger field than just playing at the tables. I saw Yuri, like the nerd guy, saying like when he's learning the new games that he plays, like all the Omahas and Haas and whatnot, he just takes like 70% of the time that he's investing in his studying, and then 30% playing on the beginning. So it's just a smart approach, let's put it this way, right? For you to be learning a lot and then going to the tables. But in small stakes, it's just also like there's a lot of money running as well, and everyone knows the basic of the games and stuff like that. But yeah, you would be impressed. All my guys, I go on the chats and I see how things are going, and I was like, hey, you need to share more. We need to get to know you better so we can help you faster. We give softwares and say, okay, we're gonna give you an HRC license here. You're gonna be splitting with this guy because you can use in 2 machines. But like you have a couple months to show us if it's worth to give to you or if it's not, because if you don't share the content, if you don't run the sims, like why we gonna leave like the lessons with you? We're just gonna test another guy and then we give you another opportunity later. But it's hard, man. It's hard.
What do you enjoy outside of poker with your one life to live?
Yeah, I've been neglected a little bit on that, my man. I've been neglected a little bit on that. When I came back to US, I was serving steaks on a Brazilian steakhouse called Texas de Brazil in Vegas. And when I was there was a bunch of players that I served meat that I started with. So some Brazilian guys that you might not know the names, but some you will, like Andrea Cari. I used to serve meat. Yeah, that one. Alexandre Gomes was the one that made the bracelet as well. But behind those, there's a lot of like smaller guys that were going to the Dream and playing like the WSOP. And then when I came back, it was like, man, I'm so way behind everyone because I spent like 4.5 years out of poker, and then I'm trying to make this like a living now. I'm coming back to Brazil with like not a big savings. I was buying like an apartment at the time, like the ones, I don't know how it works there, but here we can buy before it's ready. So we're buying on the blueprint, and then we pay a little bit cheaper, and then wait like 5-6 years to be getting the apartment. So I had that, and I told my parents, yeah, I need that place to stay. I need some food, and I'm sorry, but I'm coming back, but I'm not gonna be back like full time back, I would say. Like, so I just in 2015 I just grinded a lot in my mind as well as like, man, I cannot like have a girlfriend or something like that because
right.
That will take me so much time. And I went to the challenge, like I went to the challenge a couple years ago, and I had a relationship, and I don't have like the same mindset that the one that I was behind everyone, and I had to put way more hours than everyone to get like close to the place that they were. But yeah, I now after BitB, there was some point where they said like, Guy, you just, man, come on, take a week off because you're just working so hard, and the tables are hurting you at this moment. You have to go down a little bit on the buyings, but first of all, you need a break. You need a vacation. So yeah, I've been learning and taking some times off, and every 2 months, and even like before Scoop, inside of Scoop, because I had so many classes to give before Scoop that I had to take a time during the first week of school. But yeah, I'm taking more care of me, trying to spend more time with my family, my sister, my niece, my nephew. But yeah, I like going out, but since the pandemic stuff as well, like I had more excuse to just do very little on the social world, let's put it this way. But I was able to put back the sport routine after things cleared out a little bit, and we are able to at least run without a mask. So, but yeah, I did some traveling, went some camping, some peaceful places, like a lot of nature and animals, dogs, horses, whatever I can find. I like it. But yeah, it's I need to work a little harder on that as well, on taking times off and taking days off.
What about in terms of the arts? Music, TV, books. Any favorites you would recommend?
I really like the Daily Stoic. I've been reading it, and it's like every day a nice message. I didn't go too much in the novels or I don't know how you say, like the books with history. I always went to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all that collection. I really liked it, and I read all of those when I was like younger, a little bit before university still. And yeah, like how do you call it? Auto-help? No, self-help. Yeah. Self-help books. Like the one that I read like 3 times, and the one that I really liked it and helped me every way, also like in poker, I would say, is Relentless.
I haven't heard of that.
Relentless is from the coaching of Kobe Bryant, and that's a very, very good one that I lent it to a friend, and he took ages to give me back. I was like very jealous of it. I was like, come on, man, give my book back. But yeah, I really like that one. But yeah, I didn't develop like a very solid reading routine as I should. I got to meditation, and I spent like a couple years doing like every day. And I think by the time that 2020 starts of the year, all this crazy stuff, like a lot of my routines got bad, I think, about sports and about reading and stuff like that.
Anything else that you want to share with people? Anything you want to plug? Anything like that?
Yeah, I would say to people that are starting in poker and want some help on that, find us on Instagram, on our Facebook, the Card Room International stuff. And there's also like CNC Poker, community of like high stakes and mid stakes regulars where I coach. I don't know how many of Brazilians would be reaching, but I have like a sensei community that is also like big in Brazil, that they provide some coachings for profit as well. But yeah, I think that is it. I really appreciate your time, and I'm old big fan of you, of your videos and everything you produce for Tournament Poker Edge.
Well, thanks very much. I appreciate it on both counts. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, man. You too.
Take care.
Take away the pain. Sleepless nights, do I need some kind of pill? Or the devotion of a Carmelite, or the fair passage of a bill? And who will sign us into law? I know you